Hello everyone, Jim Bob here from Jim Bob's Greenhouse Adventures. Today I'm not in my own greenhouse, I'm in Mike's greenhouse.
Hello.
I just wanted to take the time to talk about composts, soil improvers and general fertilisers. This is something that I think it's quite interesting and something that's going to help us all in gardening, and there's so many types of composts out there, fertilisers, all that sort of stuff. It can be quite confusing how to, what's the right compost for you. Unfortunately, this video might not be as informative to a really experienced gardener, but it's geared more to the beginner gardeners or gardeners just starting to get to know the horticultural world. The first thing you're most likely going to reach for is a multi-purpose compost, and that is just that. It can be used for a multitude of things: potting up bulbs, bedding plants in patio pots, or even raising plants from seed. So what you're looking for in a multi-purpose compost is something that's nice and fine, not too light, but not necessarily too rich. And as well, when it comes to clay and compost, clay is a really good thing. It's full of nutrition. However, in any circumstance, too much of a good thing can result bad, because clay sticks to the roots and is really bad for drainage, obviously. So then, for plants that need free draining compost, it's not very good for them. And I would advise sort of a clay-free compost, or if you see really big bits of clay, try and just take them out. But again, leaving some clay in there because they're full of nutrition. All the plants here have been grown using a multi-purpose compost. Mike has taken great care into growing them and has selected a compost that is, really high quality, but also economical. And I'll go on to more about that later. Take a little look at these geraniums. They're looking fantastic now, and Mike has taken real pride into growing these. But they've been grown using a good multi-purpose compost and with an excellent fertiliser to match. And I'm going to show you more about that in a minute. So Mike raises plants to sell, and he needs a good quality compost to grow them properly. However, this has to be matched with affordable prices, and it needs to be good for the environment. Now, what does this mean? What I'm referring to is peat-free composts. Now, as you guessed, peat-free compost is compost with the peat taken out or made with that peat in it. Peat is an unsustainable resource, and in countries like Ireland, we're definitely running out of it. Gardeners are being really urged by the government to make a step away from peat and using more ingredients like coir and wood fibre. And it also depends where the wood fibre is sourced. Now, in my opinion, it's important all aspects of compost, but the wood fibre is a particularly interesting one. So it could be really sustainable wood fibre. However, that would mean that it would cost a lot more than your average compost. So in turn, you want to get a good compost that is, and I try to aim for, reduced peat. It's not necessarily completely peat-free. However, it's got definitely reduced amounts of peat in it. Normally, anywhere between 20 and 30% is considered highly reduced peat, which is much better for the environment and gives your plants great returns. This here is perlite, and perlite is really great for water management. So it improves drainage and helps plants run free of excess water. Perlite is fantastic for the aeration of the soil and compost. So what I mean by that is allowing oxygen in to replenish the oxygen stores that are in there, which is vitally important to keep the plant living. Insulation properties. Now, this is one that I find quite amazing. It can actually keep the plant warm under there. Now, because it's only a light volcanic rock, it's not heavy, so it's not going to be bad for the plant in that respect, and it's very light. The roots will work round it and work with it. And what's good is it will actually keep the roots quite warm. So if your plant is frost damaged, it might not necessarily die if it's got perlite in there, because it could keep the roots just warm enough to make it through. This is what's called grow more, made by Vitax. Now, there's many fertilisers out there like this. Doff make them, all sorts of companies make them, Godwin's, a whole range. However, this is a really good one, and it's a general purpose fertiliser for strong, healthy growth all around the garden. So what I mean by that is, this is also ideal for growing vegetables. Puppy. Puppy! This is a good multi-purpose fertiliser, so you can use it on all plants, ideally. However, it's best for vegetables and fruits. It's also good for establishing new lawns. From J. Arthur Bowers, a salad vegetable plant food. Also, dried blood. It's easy to pour, it's resealable, and it's ready to use. It's perfect, and this is a more traditional fertiliser. It's what my grandmother talks about a lot, is fish blood and bone, dried blood, ingredients like that were considered more organic than your compound fertilisers, like your chemical fertilisers, etc. So, again, if you're more concerned about what you're eating and organics, definitely go for dried blood. As marked on here, this is a rose and shrub feed. Now, that's by the book. However, it is made with horse manure, therefore it holds loads of nitrogen in it. I just want to mention something that I use a lot in my garden, and that's Levington's Tomerite. It's a concentrated tomato food, again by the book, it's meant for tomatoes. However, again, this is what my grandmother used in the 70s, 60s. Levington was really starting to come up with new interesting ways to make fertilisers when they were using chemicals made by the factories, ICI, all sorts of different chemicals like that. And that sort of stayed with us. Their groundbreaking scientific discoveries in fertilisers has actually stayed with us to this day, and it's really popular. So if you want a really good fertiliser and you're just starting off, choose Levington's Tomatorite. You won't regret it.
Tomerite.
Sorry, I just mispronounced that word. It's Tomerite. There's another company that make Tomatorite. Very similar. It's enriched with seaweed. It's enriched with seaweed. So